is my phone messing up? All right, let's see. I gotta get to where I can see comments and stuff like that. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. So first thing I want to make sure is that I'm not echoing because like I'm really not good at this live stuff, and every time I go live for some reason, everybody tells me that I'm echoing. So if I'm echoing, please let me know because I have no way to know. Hey Stacy, what's up, girl? Hi Robin. So I got to make sure I can even hear because for some reason, like, I don't know, this live stuff is always a pain in the neck. All right, so hi Lisa. Am I echoing? If you can tell me if I'm echoing or not, that would be great because Stacy, remember last time? It was like an echo chamber and people were like, all right, we hate you, stop. Okay, so thanks, Shannon. I appreciate it. So I wanted to go live and just kind of talk about what's going on with Suzanne and uh, I don't know, like there's so many different things that are being said right now on different like networks. So one thing that I heard was that the house was what's the word? I guess locked down for lack of a better term, and that nobody could go in. The husband couldn't go in the house or anything like that. And then I also heard that they were searching the home and that they had taken like bags of evidence out, but I don't know if that's true because it was only on one. I only saw that on like one article. So does anybody know if that's true, if they actually went and took anything out of the house or not? We're talking about Suzanne Morphew, Linda, the lady that's missing in Colorado. But so yeah, I'm wondering whether or not they did take anything out of the house. But you know, I'll tell you, this whole situation is so weird because, for one, they said that she was missing, right, from Mother's Day, that she went for a bike ride. But then in the same article that I was talking about, where they said that the house was being investigated and they were taking stuff out, in that article, whoever wrote that said that she actually hadn't physically been seen since the 9th, which was the day before Mother's Day, Saturday, right? So that was interesting. They said that the neighbor was called by the daughters and that the daughters said they couldn't reach their mom on Mother's Day and they asked her if she could check on her. And I guess the houses are so far apart that the neighbor, Jean, drove to look for her and didn't find her. And that's when she was reported missing. Yeah, bike ride. Yeah, exactly. Um, the nephew, Trevor, there was some other YouTube channel that I checked in on. I forget the guy's name right now, sorry, but he had the nephew's, interview on there where he was saying, she's the most loving, kind person ever, and we just really want her back home and everything. Now that guy, the nephew, he was like seriously heartfelt and talking about her and what she was like. Barry, the husband, his little 25-second spiel video thing, that was like, come on, man. Like, mm-mm. I wasn't buying it. He didn't look upset at all. He looked like he was trying to look upset, to me anyway. But if he has lawyered up, I guarantee you that's why that video was 25 seconds and cut off because I guarantee you a lawyer doesn't want him talking. And the fact that he's not going on any media channels is also very, very telling too, right? Because he's probably, in my opinion, afraid that they're going to ask him questions that he's going to slip up on, or they're going to ask him questions that he doesn't want to have to answer. And so he's just not going on there. You know what I mean? They need to search their. Hold on a second here. My screen's cut off. What the heck's going on here? Let's see. They need. I think Stacy. I think your comment got cut off. I thought it was my screen, but I think it's your comment. but um, but yeah. So, and then there's the whole thing about they said that the surveillance cameras at the house hadn't been working a few days before Mother's Day, and so I don't know if that's true or if that's hearsay. But if that is true, that's also kind of like, come on, man. Especially with people that have a house like that. Like if those security cameras went out, you would think that they would have somebody out there immediately to take care of it. And I understand, like with the whole COVID situation, that maybe that isn't that easy right now. Like maybe the company's not coming out and doing in-house things. I don't know, but I just thought it was that odd that whatchamacallit, that they were broken a few days before that. Hey, buddy, what's going on? So when I think about like the daughters, like God, could you imagine? Like I hope for their sake, like I really wholeheartedly am looking at the husband at this point based on his video plea and everything like that. But could you imagine for the sake of his daughters, like how horrible that would be to find out if your father like killed your mother, God forbid, or something like that? I mean, I can't even imagine that because my family is so the opposite. My parents have been divorced since I'm what, 15 years old. I'm 42 now, and my father and my mother are still like great friends, and like we're still a family even though my parents aren't together. So I hope for the sake of their girls that that is not what happened here, but nothing is leading to suggest anything else other than the fact that the husband is involved in some way. Oh, hey, speaking of family, hey dad. My dad just joined the group. And Vince, hey Vince. I don't know. If it was me, right? If anybody that I loved was missing, whether it was my family, my spouse, my kid, God forbid, or just anybody that I was friends with that I care about, I would be like on 10 on every single news station that I could, talking about what kind of person they are, what they like to do, what to look for, anything that might bring the person back home safe. I wouldn't be waiting a week to say anything. There was a whole week that went by that this guy said nothing. He didn't put anything on Facebook. He didn't make a public statement. He didn't go on any news channels. I mean, people didn't even know that she was married until a week later when her husband decided to put out that stupid 25-second video plea saying, that he'll give whatever money is necessary to whoever has her to bring her back and, you know, that whole thing. But I mean, how do you wait a week? Could you imagine if your spouse was missing and you would wait a week? I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense. My son, if he's out of my sight for 2 seconds and I'm in my own home, I'm in a panic. It doesn't add up. And there was somebody that posted on YouTube also. She said she spoke to somebody that was local that knows them. And I don't know if this is hearsay or not, but what she said is that Barry and Barry's daughters haven't been in touch with anybody on Suzanne's side of the family since she went missing, which I also thought was weird. And it makes you wonder, like, was he controlling to the point where like he isolated her from her family? Because that happens in abusive relationships, right? But we haven't heard anything from anybody on Suzanne's side of the family. The only one who's really speaking out is her nephew, which I believe is the nephew through marriage to Barry. So where's her family? Like, that's not making any sense. Where are her aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, anybody, right? It's a very strange thing. It didn't make any sense at all. But it's a very tight-lipped situation, and I get it. Law enforcement's not really putting anything out there, and I understand that they want to preserve the integrity of the investigation. And I mean, if you look what happened with Gannon Stauch's case, so many things were flying around. Rumors were flying around on Facebook and YouTube and all this, that, and the other thing. And they said it really was hurting their investigation. So for them to stay tight-lipped, it makes sense, right? But a lot of people have said they haven't even put out anything saying like what a description of her. So unless you looked at her picture online and read the story that she was missing, they haven't said anything about her height, her weight, her eye color, her hair color, what she might be wearing. Nothing. There's nothing. It's very strange, Robin. It doesn't make sense. Robin, what do you think happened? I'm curious. Do you think the husband is involved? For anybody who's watching, I want to know if you think the husband is involved, because I don't even think she ever went on a bike ride. That's my personal opinion. I think that the bike was placed a mile away from the home on a bridge with the brakes locked up, leaning against a tree, which to me is very staged. I'm sorry, but if somebody is abducted, do you really think that their abductor is going to take the time to put their bike together and put their little kickstand down and lean it up against a tree? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to grab somebody. The bike's going to be thrown on the ground. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It's just, mm-mm. And then I guess the bike was found on the 10th, on Mother's Day. And somebody said that they believe it was the neighbor that found the bike when the daughters called her and said they couldn't reach their mom. But the neighbor, from what I understand, never actually saw Suzanne go on her bike and go for a bike ride. So, according to the article that I read today, the last time she was actually physically seen was on Saturday the 9th. They haven't said when Barry went to Denver. So, he could have done something to her on Saturday, and yeah, maybe he did go to Denver on Sunday, and maybe he discarded her body on the way there, right? Denver's only 2.5 hours away from where they live, so it's not like he was like away. You know what I'm saying? It's a car ride. It's not like he was away on business on the other side of the country or something where he couldn't have been in both places over the course of a day or two. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And as far as his alibi, hi Bob, as far as his alibi being verified, it was only verified by a family member who said he was in Denver. But where's some receipts showing like, hey, I got gas when I was in Denver, or I bought something to eat when I was in Denver, or I had a hotel booked in Denver. Where's that? I mean, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. Need to impound his vehicle if they haven't already. I think they did take his car or truck, whatever he had. Um, I think they did. I know that they have his phone, and so I mean, I would imagine I can't say that because they have his phone that they're looking at him as a suspect. That's why they have his phone. I'm sure that's protocol. If somebody goes missing, you're going to look at the spouse first, right? Um, so that's true too. But I do believe that they have his vehicle. I wonder how many vehicles they have, right? I mean, that's the other thing too. Like they have a $1.5 million gorgeous estate out there in Colorado. So who's to say they only have one vehicle? We don't even know what vehicle he was driving. But yeah, I'm curious. And like I said, I get that they want to stay tight-lipped about it for the investigation, for the integrity of the investigation. But I do wish we knew a little bit more. Denise, laptop and phone they took, haven't heard about car or truck. Okay, how did you where did you hear that from? Just curious. I'm not questioning you. I'm just wondering because there's so many different articles out there that I'm not sure which is accurate and which is not at this point. My son just came in, so sorry, I got distracted for a second. Give me 1 second here. Hmm. This is why I said, does anybody want to have this conversation before I went live? Because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get through it peacefully. But that's all right. I love him. He can interrupt me. It's fine. So on the I wonder what her phone. Somebody else had said that they pinged. The phone was pinged in the house at 4:30 in the morning, and then after that, it wasn't pinged anymore. So I guess like maybe it went dead or something like that. Um, or I'm wondering if they have even found her phone. Like I know her phone wasn't apparently allegedly on her when she went on her bike ride, but I'm wondering if they found the phone in the house or if they didn't even find her phone yet, right? That's another question I had. And then of course on the 15th they said they found an unidentified personal object not in the same area as they found the bike, but they haven't said what that object was. So I'm also wondering, could that maybe have been a personal object of her husband? They didn't say it was her personal object, right? So lots of questions on that too. He put up a lot of money fast and hasn't said anything. I think yeah, right? I'm seriously thinking the same thing. Like, the first thing I would think of wouldn't be how much money should I say I'm willing to pay for the safe return of my wife. I wouldn't even be thinking like that, right? I would be in tears. I'd be like telling people like, she might have been wearing this, that, or the other thing, or, she's about 5'4" or whatever she is. I'd be putting all that information out there, and I sure as hell wouldn't have cut it off at 25 seconds. But I guarantee if he has a lawyer, the lawyer told him to shut up and not say too much. But if he didn't say anything, that was going to be suspicious too. So he puts out this 25-second, you know, plea for the safe return of his wife. But I wasn't buying it. It looked very staged, very forced, very fake, like he was trying to look upset. And everybody has said the same thing. The whole time he's talking about he wants her back, he's shaking his head. No, I love you. I love you. Who does that? Try that. Somebody else had said that. Try this. Tell your spouse, I love you, and shake your head no tonight and see how that goes over, right? I thought that was funny. Sorry. Um, sorry, I got distracted again by my son. But yeah, it just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. I really don't think she went on a bike ride. I really don't. And the other thing, too, is like law enforcement has said that they asked people who live around there to save their surveillance video footage from the 8th through the 12th. And I mean, if you look at where they live, right, their house is very secluded. There's trees everywhere. I would find it really hard to to believe that, unfortunately, that security cameras at somebody's house would have caught anything, that far away. But I could be wrong. You know what? I don't live there. I haven't been out there to see how far homes are from the road or anything like that. But at the same time, I would imagine you've got your red light cameras and all of that. So maybe hopefully, they are looking to see if, Barry's vehicle was traveling out at a certain point, and maybe they caught him on one of those, red light cameras or something like that to see when he left for Denver. Because as of right now, nobody's really said anything. Hi, Janine. Doesn't make any sense. I don't like it. And it's just, like I said, the weirdest part to me about it is like, who waits a week to say something when their spouse is missing, right? Like, if if my loved one was missing, I would be frantic within the first 5 minutes, in a panic, and I'd be on every channel I could talking about them, and to tell people, please look out for them, what they look like. Again, nobody has said anything. Nobody even said what her hair color was, or height, or eye color. Nothing. And his 25-second video, it was bogus to me. Sorry, bogus. And I had a conversation earlier with someone whose family knows Barry, and they said that they never saw any sort of behavior to indicate that he would, do something like this, and they believe that he's innocent. And I get that, right? If you never want to think someone that you know is capable of doing something like that, but hell, even Jeffrey Dahmer had friends, right? So what you see what you see and what people see behind closed doors are often very different things. And so I can understand why people that know him would say he's an upstanding guy, he's a good person, he wouldn't do this, but we really don't know what life was like behind closed doors for them. And people assume, based on their family photos and their vacations and their big $1.5 million house, that they had the perfect life and the perfect love and all that. But you know what? Everybody thought the same thing about Chris and Shanann Watts too, and look what he did, right? So you just don't know. You really don't know. She has a nonprofit. I'm not sure what exactly. I know it's a charitable nonprofit. I don't know if she was very active in it, but I'm wondering if she had her own income, her own money separate from him, or if she was financially, reliant on him. And the reason I say that is because, um, oftentimes people will stay in an abusive situation if they're financially dependent on someone, and, to the world they look like everything is great, but that's not necessarily the case, and they stay for reasons outside of love, whether it be the kids or it be finances, or they're used to a certain lifestyle, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just curious about whether or not she had her own money or not, where she was in a position to leave if he was abusive. um, I don't know. Nobody's really said. And then, of course, the daughters were, on Mother's Day, they were allegedly on a camping trip in Idaho that they were on their way back from. And that was when they couldn't reach their mom, and they reached out to the neighbor, and the neighbor went and drove around and couldn't find her and called the police. But um, I just thought it was kind of interesting that if they all lived there, that they wouldn't have been home with her on Mother's Day either, you know? So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens, though. I think that somebody said that they didn't find any fingerprints on her bike, not hers or anybody else's. I don't know if that's true or if it's hearsay, but if it is true, then obviously somebody wiped the bike down pretty good, right? Again, leaning up against a tree doesn't seem like an abduction. If somebody's going to grab you, you're, in my opinion, of course, the bike's going to be laying on the ground and it's going to look like somebody was abducted. It's not going to look like somebody got off their bike, leaned it against a tree, and went to look at a squirrel somewhere. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. It's just not adding up. But yeah, a lot of people are obviously looking at Barry, at the husband, and understandably so. And you know what? If he's innocent, then I'll apologize. But it is not looking good to me at all. Had he come forward in the beginning of this and said anything along the lines of what his nephew Trevor had said, which was, she's the kindest, most loving person you'll ever meet in the world, and we just need her back right now at home. If he had said anything like that, I might not think that. But his whole plea was just so weird. It was weird. It was stiff. It was emotionless. It just it just rubbed me the wrong way, you know? And you know what it reminded me of too? A lot of people will say it reminded them of the Chris Watts interview that he first did, where they just look like they are guilty, right? But Letitia Stout, when she went on the news to do her interview, remember, if you followed that case, she had her back to the camera, right? And and she had sunglasses on, and she said that she was getting death threats and stuff, so she didn't want to put her face out there. Meanwhile, her face was out there anyway, right? It was because she didn't want them to read her body language, and I wholeheartedly believe that. But if you think about the way she handled that, it's very similar for Barry to go ahead and release a 25-second video himself that he could have edited or done over and over and over till he felt it was right to put it out there. But again, neither person, whether it's him or Letitia Stout, wanted people to be able to read their body language, and that's why I really believe Barry didn't go on the news, because they're going to ask him questions and he's not going to want to answer them, or he's going to say something he shouldn't say, and he's afraid. I really believe that. Hi, Bob. Just I don't know. If you have nothing to hide, you would talk forever, right? If if you had nothing to hide, you could ask me a million questions and I would answer every single one, because I would do whatever it took to bring that person back home safe. I wouldn't cut it off at 25 seconds. You want to ask me a question? Go ahead, please. Ask me questions so that I can help you bring my loved one home, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. So, I don't know. I think in the next couple of days, we're going to probably find out some more. At least I hope so anyway. I know, like, with the Letitia Stout case, that was crazy how long that went on for, but they knew a lot more than they said, and they always do, right? Um, I really want to know whether or not they took bags of evidence out of the house, or if that was just hearsay, because if they did, then that speaks volumes, right? I just don't think she ever went on a bike ride. I really don't. And I hate to say that, but between the cameras stopping working, the security cameras that stopped working in the home a few days before Mother's Day, and he conveniently was in Denver, and the bike was just placed leaning up against a tree. Nobody had actually physically seen her since the 9th, which was the day before. It just, the phone not being on or being pinged, all of it, right? It just leads me to believe that something sinister happened before Mother's Day, and I don't know. I feel so sorry for the daughters. I can't even imagine that situation, let alone your own father maybe being involved, you know? I'm wondering if the daughters think the father may have been involved. I mean, if anybody knows more about what goes on behind closed doors in their family, it would be the kids, right? But they haven't said anything either, so nobody knows, you know. But anyhow, that's just what I wanted to go over real quick. Like I said, I don't know, I don't know if they're. I know he's not allowed in the home, right? Neither are the girls. He's staying at a family's vacation home somewhere not too far away from their house right now. Um, they say that, oh, and this was interesting too. The law enforcement, according to his volunteer firefighter friends, law enforcement told them that the fire department people are not allowed to participate in the search for Suzanne, which I thought was very interesting because those are his friends. Um, and I'm not even really sure what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking that there's a reason specifically why that group of friends was told they can't be part of the search. I don't know what that is, but it stood out to me. It stood out to me. Friends cover for each other all the time. Who knows? I don't know, but it was strange to say the least. Let's see here. So, sick, yeah, absolutely a sick husband. Let's see here. I'm looking through some of the comments that I missed. Robin, hi. Yeah, I don't know. But one of the things I noticed, and I mentioned this on a video that I did for Crime 411, was that when people talk about, oh, hi, Pamela, we're talking about Suzanne Morphew, the lady missing in Colorado. And thank you for coming on the live. I'm glad you're here. But yeah, when people talk about, you know, like I said on that video, Chris Watts, Megan Boswell, and now Barry, when they're talking about somebody that's missing, right? They'll tend to say, I just want them back instead of I just want them home, right? And it's almost like they're thinking they wish they could go back and undo what was done. I just want them back as opposed to I just want them home. Trevor, the nephew, when he was doing his interview, he kept saying, we just want her back home safe. The husband never said that. He said, I just want you back. I want you back. I'll do whatever it takes to get you back. And that is the same exact thing that Chris Watts said right after he killed his wife and kids. And it was the same thing that Megan Boswell said when she was interviewed about where Evelyn was I just want her back. And so that stood out. They already took his vehicle. Oh, they did take his vehicle? We were just talking about that a few minutes ago, and we were wondering if they took his vehicle. Do you know if he only had one vehicle, Michelle, or if he has more than one or anything? Just curious. And I haven't seen anything that the daughters haven't said anything either. I wonder what they're thinking. I mean, you would think that they would make a plea for the safe return of their mom. I know I would, right? I definitely would. I don't know. I don't know if, sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical issues. Give me one second. Probably hear me typing a million miles an hour. Okay, it says it's working, but I don't know. My internet looks like it's frozen, so if it is, I apologize. But let's see. Let me go back. Sorry, I'm having interview issues here. Interview? What am I talking about? Internet. Okay, there it goes. Seems to be working now. I really want to know. Um, I really want to know what the daughters are thinking at this point. I really do. But anyhow, I'm going to end this here. Um, I was hoping to have a more lengthy conversation, but my son is needing some attention, so I've got to prioritize, right?